Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Mary. Were you crying?
Yeah. I'm a wreck.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I mean, JT is dead.
I didn't expect to have that kind of reaction because I knew it was coming, so it wasn't going to be a surprise. So like, whatever. But I don't know the final scene when they're on the hospital when they find out and it's just God, I just know exactly that feeling. Like your brain goes into denial and is like, no, there must be some way to like reverse this decision. Like that, like you have to be able to get the doctor to change that answer. It can't be true. Literally, you just can't accept it.
Hmm.
It's the worst. It brought back all sorts of memories of a couple years ago when my friend died, and just it was like a horrible feeling. And also, I love JT, and I love everywhere he's been going in these past couple of episodes, particularly. And I don't want that. And
Right.
I just don't want it to be true.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I'm actually interested to see next week's episode, which is JT's
Yeah.
funeral and JT's memorial, because I remember going to the funeral of a friend, and it was a friend I hadn't seen in a long time before he died, and I remember having this strange emotion that didn't make any sense, driving, across the country to go to this funeral, which is this sort of strange happiness as like, oh, I'm going to get to see my friend, and then before
Yeah.
remembering, oh, but wait, he's dead.
But I won't get to talk to him. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I still, every once in a while, I'll remember that she's dead and be like, wait, are you sure? Like, it's still, every once in a while, my brain rejects the information. It's, I don't think that ever goes away.
something that I do really like that they did in this episode is that JT was killed by these thugs who, I'm sure everybody watching it in the last Degrassi, the last few episodes, saw these, the Lakehurst thugs and was like, sort of like, give me a break. These guys are clowns. They're just kids who
Yeah.
think they're tough. And I think we've all sort of felt that at some time. But the truth is that you don't have to be tough to pick up a knife and do something stupid with it. And
Yeah, you can be acting tough and like do something life altering,
right,
for yourself and for other people.
it just
You can take
proves
it
that
too far.
never put yourself in that sort of situation where even if you think it's just like you never know who is the guy that's got the knife in his pants and is dumb enough to use it.
Uh,
But we're gonna call Linda Schuyler.
yeah. Okay, here's the deal. I know you and I both really wanted Ryan Cooley on this podcast. I know everybody who listens to the podcast wants Ryan Cooley on this podcast. We tried so hard to make it happen, but it's just not possible this week because of there's the Canadian Actors Guild is on strike, and Ryan just can't. He just can't do this. So we want to have him on as soon as we can. Hopefully the strike will be over tomorrow and we can have him on next week or something. But we're trying as hard as we can, and I'm sure, as long as Ryan wants to do it, we'll do it.
Right. So we're calling Linda Schuyler instead, which I gotta say is a pretty good runner-up here. Linda
Yeah,
Schuyler,
seriously.
if anyone doesn't know, is the creator of Degrassi. Not only the creator of the current series of Degrassi, but the creator of every series of Degrassi that extend back years and
Right.
years and years and years. And she can at least tell us why JT
She's
is
gonna
dead.
know the whole story, man. She knows every little thing about it. So
Yeah.
if you want the horse's mouth, this is it.
All right. So let's call
I
Linda.
didn't just call Linda Schuyler a horse, did
You
I?
called her a horse's mouth, which is, that's I'm sure she's cool with that.
Oh God, so
She's your
sorry.
hero.
All right. Anyway, yes, she is my hero. So I'm a little nervous right now. Okay,
All right, you ready? Deep
let's go.
breaths. You're cool.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Calling her.
Hello, Linda here.
Hi, Linda. It's Mary and Seth from
Hi,
theend.com.
Linda.
Hey guys, how are you?
We are great. Thank you so much for talking to us today. So the first question that I'm sure is kind of on most users' mind or viewers' minds is why JT? Because they love JT so much.
Aw. I must admit, JT is a favorite character of mine as well. And One of the interesting things about Degrassi is that we cast age appropriate, and as our show stays on the air, our our young performers are growing up the same way that the characters are in the show. And you know, each year, I always sit down and I talk with my young performers about what they want from the show, and where their character is going, and how is this all working with their personal lives and whatnot. And my talk at the beginning of the season last year with Ryan was he was conflicted. He loves his character. He loves working on Degrassi, but at the same time, he just graduated from high school and he was looking forward to going into university, and he wasn't sure. He just was at that time in his life where he wasn't sure which direction he wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
So he and I talked a little bit about what could happen to his character this year and whatever. And I said, one of the things that we haven't dealt with on the show is like a random act of violence. And I think the way that would have the most impact for our young viewers is if it was with a character that was known and loved. So we kind of joked about the fact, that if it felt like it was time for JT to leave the show, maybe he should go out with a bang, so to speak. And but we didn't come to anything conclusive at that meeting. Then I spoke to the writers, and the writers actually got really quite excited about the possibility, not of losing JT, but of just the impact on story, and how we could really have such a strong story about the pain caused by a random act of violence. It could have a huge impact. So then I had another meeting with Ryan, and at that point, he was leaning more to going to university, and I said, well, we've talked about the possibility of this happening to your character. How do you feel? And he actually got this lovely little smile on his face. He said, well, if I was going to leave the show, I'd love to leave with a really strong storyline like that. And I said, okay, Ryan, this is the moment of truth, and it's all going to rest in your hands. You have to tell me that you're really comfortable with it, that you're really ready to be moving on and whatever. And he said, no, Linda, I am really, really comfortable with this. And we went through with the storyline.
What was that like when you were sort of creating the story itself? I mean, were there emotions kind of behind writing that episode?
Oh, absolutely. It was huge because one of the joys of working on series television is you get to know your characters as though they are very much real human beings. And it was the final day on set when we had to do, well, it actually wasn't the final day of the actual order, but when we had to do the scene where the death actually happened, it was a very emotional time for all of us. And your emotions get confused because you're sorry that the character's going, you're sorry that Ryan Cooley is leaving the show, and it all just becomes crystallized. And we were all. I don't. You must have seen the behind the scenes on that episode. Well, you can see everybody was pretty moved.
Definitely. I cried at the behind the scenes, never mind the episode. So I felt very strongly too.
I'm interested in the storyline that you chose for JT and for how he died, because in some ways, we look back at the Rick storyline from the earlier seasons, and this took a much different take on violence. That it less of a focus on the act of violence, but more on the consequences of it. I mean, did you have that in mind in particular? Were there very specific issues surrounding violence that you wanted to deal with?
Yes, and what I have to say is that we haven't finished dealing with that. What we did on last year was our season 6, but at the end of that season, we actually didn't finish the year of school, and we're going to pick up on season 7 where we left off. So that, in other words, one whole year of school is going to be spanned by season 6 and season 7. Mm-hmm. So what we will be doing in our next season is doing even more follow-through with how to deal with with gang violence and rival school violence, because we just feel that the death of JT, there's way more impact than what we've had the opportunity to explore yet in the episodes so far.
I'm curious, just on a personal note, if when you were a teenager, if you ever lost anyone close to you.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Somebody I was dating in, well, you don't even have grade 13 there, but when I went to school, there was a grade 13, and someone I was dating was lost in a street racing incident.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think when you're a teenager and dealing with your first loss, it is it's very traumatic.
Right, especially a sudden loss like that.
Yeah.
So why did you create Degrassi, and what do you feel separates it from other, shows about high school?
Well, I think for anybody who knows me, they'll know that I years ago used to be a junior high school teacher. And when I was teaching, I found that there was just really nothing that talked directly to teenagers on television. There was very good preschool programming and there was adult programming, but there was nothing that talked directly to teenagers about what they are going through at that particular time in their life. So I thought, well, maybe this is what I should be doing. And it was with that in mind, I wanted to create material that would talk directly to young people in an honest way. It would not be condescending to them, but at the same time, material that wouldn't be afraid to really talk about the issues that these young people have to deal with. And those are the principles that I started with, I hate to tell you, about 27 years ago. And those are the principles that we still uphold today. And I think that it is the directness, the honesty of the show, the fact that we cast age appropriate, all of that helps give Degrassi an authenticity that perhaps you don't find in other teenage shows.
Are there any storylines in the past? I mean, in the current series or in any of the Degrassi series that you look at and you're particularly proud of, or that you were particularly difficult to do, but that you're proud of that you actually did them and put them on the air?
Well, that's like that's a little bit like asking a mother of like 5 children, who's your favorite child? I mean, I'm very proud of each and every episode of Degrassi. And interesting enough, one of the things I'm very proud of for Degrassi, the next generation, is how we have dealt with the character of Marco and what it's like for a gay teenager coming out. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons I say I'm very proud of that is not because it's a particular episode per se, but I am glad that we have charted this over the course of 6 seasons, so that we've been able to show that coming out is not just a single act, that one day you decide to tell the world you're gay and then, okay, that's fine, you're gay. But we have shown it, that first you come out maybe to a very close friend and then to a larger circle, eventually to parents. And that's what I love about series television, is that it's not just you deal with an issue and it's over, but we can actually chart the effect that these have over a young person's life, and the gay episode I think is a very good example of that. But you also get to see what it's like for Emma coming to terms with having her new stepdad, Mr. Simpson, and how that family has worked together. So for me, what I'm most proud of is the fact that we do have an ongoing series. And I often say to people, I think that it is a true privilege that we have to go into people's living rooms for a half an hour every week and tell them a story. People get to know our characters week after week after week, and therefore you can take them on journeys with those characters that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do. And I think actually coming back to the death of JT, that plays into that, because over the course of like 6 seasons, we've got to really know and love this character. So the sense of loss is going to be particularly poignant
Do people bring their own sort of like anecdotes to the table, like from their own experiences, adolescence, and?
Oh, absolutely, and that happens in two places actually. One, that happens quite frequently in the writers' room, and then when we workshop the script with our young cast, we sit around and we read the script, and then we talk about the subject matter. We talk about where the characters are, and oftentimes our young performers will also share with us anecdotes from either their life or their school life. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to share personal experiences if they care to.
Does it ever kind of feel like a group therapy session to be working on Degrassi?
There are times when it feels like we're in group therapy. Yes, but you have to understand. But even though we deal with a lot of tough issues, we also have a lot of fun, and sometimes humor is the best therapy.
So, I'm sure a lot of our audience knows that you are also the creator of Instant Star, and they've been very excited about the upcoming season. They've been dying for us to talk about it. So what can you tell us about what's coming up in season 3?
Oh my goodness, we have so much great drama for our audience in season 3 of Instant Star. I mean, first of all, this is the year that Jude Harrison turns 18. And in her mind, oh my goodness, the moment she turns 18, then everything with Tommy Q should just fall into place. And that's what our girl has in her mind. And we have a big surprise in store for the audience on that score. So certainly Jude's love life will continue to be a fantastic journey for everybody. Jude found a new friend last year, Patsy, who is a very much a wild child. And Patsy is going to take Jude on a journey that Jude did not expect. And there's great stuff. We have a new Instant Star this year, and she's going to cause quite a bit of trouble for Jude and the boys in the band. So I don't know. I'm just so excited. We've got so much good stuff happening. I can't wait for your audience to see it.
I can't wait to see it myself.
Sounds fantastic.
I'm sorry, one final question. Regarding the realism of Degrassi, I don't suppose JT's going to come back as a ghost or get resurrected or anything like that.
Why, have you got a storyline?
It's like, I guess Degrassi's not the OC, so.
I was going to say, at this point, I do not think there are any story plans with that in mind. However, I have learned in my life, after having worked on this project for so many years, to never say never.
Aha! All right.
There might be a long-lost twin there somewhere.
A long-lost twin! Can you say afternoon soap opera?
Thank you again for talking to us.
Thanks so much.
And thank you for Degrassi.
Oh,
yeah.
You're
and
welcome. My pleasure on both fronts. Okay. Bye-bye, all.
Bye.
No ghost. Well, never say never, but probably no JT haunting.
Yeah. Well, all in all, I think that's probably for the best.
Yeah, I know. Because that's the reality is like when someone dies, you just don't see them anymore, and that's a very weird experience.
Right. I also just think a poltergeist on Degrassi isn't going to work all that well.
I wonder if Liberty's going to find out that JT called her oatmeal right before he died.
Yeah, but that's the highest compliment you can pay anybody. If he had called her Farina, that would have been like, whoa.
I'm gonna give you a little advice about women here, Seth. Calling women oatmeal is not the highest compliment you can give them.
Oh,
I am.
Really? All right.
Don't do it.
Okay, wait. Okay, writing this down. Do not. Can I refer to them as other oat-based products?
It really depends on the oat-based product, and it better be a beautiful oat-based product.
All right, Mary. I'll talk to you next week when as far as I know, nobody's gonna die on the end.
Yeah, I hope you're right. Have a good weekend.
You too, Mary. See you.
Bye.
Bye.